Good morning, and thank you for joining me. As always, I'm your foul player, and I'd like to welcome you into the foul play land. I'm making this video regarding the news of Luis Ortiz not taking the AJ fight, and I didn't get right onto making a video immediately when I knew sort of definitively that fight wasn't going to go down, which was probably the end of this weekend, or maybe Monday. I think it was like Monday or earliest Sunday, which we all found out that Luis Ortiz wasn't the option at to take on Anthony Joshua as a late replacement. To give you a brief rundown of the situation, as we all know now, Big Baby Miller failed a PED test several times over, and in addition to that, well, actually, there's no addition to that. I mean, he just failed a couple of PED tests back to back to back. I think at the announcement of the first failed PED test, they were already counting him out as an option. So then the chase for replacements started. And shortly after that, Eddie Hearn said that Anthony Joshua's short list, he had 5 people in mind in which he wanted to fight as a replacement for Big Baby Miller. At the top of that list was Luis Ortiz. There was a little bit back and forth as far as Luis Ortiz sending out salvos to camp Matchroom and Anthony Joshua and Eddie Hearn that he'd be willing to take on the fight. There was things being said, not only now when this happened, but in the past, as far as him willing to take the fight for no money or little money or things in that vein, if you will. Thought I had something white on my shirt. So then a little bit after that, you started hearing that Luis Ortiz told Camp Matchroom to send them the same contract that they sent Big Baby Miller, which was rumored to be $7 million, which I don't think is true. With a lot of these Matchroom or the zone deals, I don't think the numbers are what they say they are. But I'll leave that for a separate video, I guess, or another time. Where was I? So and this was still in the stages in which the fight was still a possibility. So I mean, if it was announced Sunday or Monday, then the following day, or maybe even that day, where everything that I've just said, or the latter portion of what I just said was going on, and then ultimately it was put out that Luis Ortiz wasn't the option. It was also put out that Luis Ortiz was going to be the fight for Deontay Wilder come December on Showtime pay-per-view. My initial thinking, I mean, I wasn't happy at one iota. I'm still not, I'm not going to say that I'm overjoyed, because a certain camp is going to come up as far as PBC or fiscally, and one camp gets stuck. I mean, I could look at that in a sense I take some happiness in the fact that Joshua will have less options come December, because I mean he's gonna be stuck looking for an opponent now, and he's gonna be stuck looking for an opponent then too, unless Tyson Fury miraculously fights him rather than fighting a tune-up in December or around that time frame for his next fight, if you will. So I'm not happy that one camp comes up, and fiscally, do I rather Matchroom not come up fiscally or not be at the winning, not hold the winning hands? Absolutely. Do I rather Anthony Joshua not have a winning hand in all this? 100%. I hate the way Matchroom moves. I hate the way Eddie Hearn moves. I hate the way Anthony Joshua has moved. I think Anthony Joshua's moved with a lot of cowardice. I think Matchroom and Eddie Hearn has moved with a lot of deception. And in addition to that, as far as fan bases go, I can't stand the Anthony Joshua fan base one bit, and the Eddie Hearn fan base, which is probably just as strong or just as much fervor for Eddie Hearn as they have for Anthony Joshua. It's a new thing, like where people are enamored by a promoter, and I can't stand it. So I mean, when there's things that I can't stand, I attack. But besides that, though, when these things happen and one person comes up, or like these like kind of like business moves that are made, like in which a lesser fight is presented ultimately, like it's not like a win for me, and it's not like a win for the fans unless you're really gun ho about promoter or promotional outfit. Like you know, I really can't see it. I mean, the fan in me, because I love Deontay Wilder, and I also like Luis Ortiz. Like the fan in me, as far as liking Deontay Wilder, I mean Deontay Wilder, like I've said before, he's looking for the best fights. He's been ducked by tons of opponents. You could make a case that Anthony Joshua has been ducked by every champion. In the last God knows. I mean, that could be going back a decade. Luis Ortiz, I mean, another guy who's also been ducked, outwardly ducked. I mean, like where Eddie Hearn said he was willing to drop a belt if they matched them up, if they matched Anthony Joshua up with Ortiz. And, when Ortiz's situation, in addition to Wilder's situation, they both have daughters that have physical issues and or issues that they were born with, I believe. I believe they were born with the issues. And I could reason with that. I have a son who's handicapped as well. So I mean, like, I guess I have a soft spot for those issues. But even besides that, though, it's just the way that they conduct themselves as fighters. It sits well with me, as opposed to how Anthony Joshua has moved. So, when those guys, like, I guess, come up fiscally, especially if it's in spite of like Matchroom, I'm for that to a degree. Was I a little bit disappointed, like, because Luis Ortiz went back on his word as far as saying that he was willing to fight Anthony Joshua for nothing. Yeah, I mean, I was, man. Like, the fan in me was immediately thinking, like, why? Because I still say that I think Luis Ortiz beats Anthony Joshua, and I think he would knock him out. Like, I think it would be a knockout win. But the fan in me was thinking, why don't he fuck up Anthony Joshua and then still take the Deontay Wilder fight come December, like. But then I'm not sure what the hell like was offered. Like, I mean, like, and if the Deontay Wilder contract was, if there was a condition within it in which they had to, hold off on fighting anybody tough until they fought Wilder, who knows? I mean, that could be the case, which I'm not like happy about that, like 100% either. But I understand it. I understand it in the sense that if Ortiz loses to Anthony Joshua, or if he doesn't get the knockout and, like, it goes to the cards, like, I can't see Luis Ortiz coming out of Madison Square Garden on his own card with the victory against the zone's like premier or second premier talent. Also, so I get when you factor in that there was an offer for the pay-per-view against Wilder in December as to why he may have put that off. I also have to factor the fact that Luis Ortiz is an older guy. I mean, on paper he's 40. I'm gonna run with 40. I mean, like, the fanboys will tell you that he's 50. So I mean, like, they reinforce the notion that, as an older person, you can't take on two fights like that back to back. It was stated today that Eddie Hearn was, and I heard this from the Cali Enigma's channel. So shout out to the Cali Enigma, and I hope that you go over to his channel and subscribe to him. And he's a good man. In addition to all that, in addition to breaking fresh news. But that Eddie Hearn was considering putting out the details of the contract and I guess I don't know how exactly how he worded it, but or how Eddie Hearn worded it. He was basically saying that he's sort of gonna either Luis Ortiz as far as giving out the details of this negotiation. I mean, and I'm hoping that he does it. I don't cape for anybody like that where I don't want bad news to come out on a certain. The facts are facts. Facts are neither right or wrong. Facts are facts. If you have facts, by way of email or even verbally, I mean, I don't believe anything that Eddie Hearn says, but I mean, if you made a contract for per se $6 million, put that out there. You don't need to wait. I mean, unless you're trying to still work out a fight with him now, but why wait? Maybe put that out there. Hey, I offered this motherfucker, 5 million dents, and then later on, I mean, when you get your shit together, then put out any actual receipts, as far as emails or whatever have you. I'm pretty sure that whatever was offered to Luis Ortiz was either low or had some strings attached, and that's more on the financial or business sides of things. Which, as a fan, I mean, I can't really be gun ho about unless you're really trying to slave somebody. Where you're trying to get over or come up on somebody just for by offering something that's real fucked up. I'm not really gonna stake my flag on those kind of issues fiscally, unless they're really the situation really dictates that. But as far as the fight being made, no, I can't be happy. I mean, I'm not Eddie Hearn where I'm gonna wait a few days and try to garner what I'm gonna say, or try to gather my thoughts and then come out with a campaign that's anti Joshua or pro somebody who is anti Joshua. I mean, I'm not gonna operate that in that fashion. And I only took longer to make this video because I wanted more a lot wasn't being said to be frank. Besides the news that Luis Ortiz wasn't going to take the fight, which I mean, looking back on it, I probably should have made a video immediately thereafter when I heard that news, but I think just timing got in the way of shit. Today I'm off, so I'm able to make this little video before I go to Brooklyn. But like I said, I'm still disappointed that Anthony Joshua and Ortiz isn't gonna happen. Primarily because I hate Anthony Joshua, and I felt like Luis Ortiz could beat him. At the very least, I was gonna get a dope fight if those two dudes fought. Another reason, I mean, because being somebody who's a supporter of Luis Ortiz, you kind of it's like seeing somebody you like have to go back on their word. That's never a good thing, whether in real life or in this entertainment world of boxing. That to me, it's not a good look. But I will say this, which is another point 3, I guess. I changed my tone and it sounded like I was gonna say a point to contend what I was already putting out. But another reason is that at a fights I want to see, it's definitely Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder. Number 1. Number 2, amongst that paradigm, I mean, would be Luis Ortiz and Anthony Joshua. Even more so than Fury, because Fury Joshua would be a real, ultra British, ultra European fight. And then, you gotta, add that to the fact that Wilder overtly ducked ducked Deontay Wilder. So you would still have like the guy who could be number one, like fighting outside of like these two British guys. So it doesn't do it for me. It may do it for the Brits more than it does than for me. But I mean, the fight that I wanted to see number two after Luis Ortiz and Anthony Joshua is Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua. You know, like I hope I said that right. But Deontay Wilder rematch with Luis Ortiz, though it's a hellified fight, and I am gonna support that fight, and I'm very cheap with these fucking fights, man. I watch almost every fight besides Deontay Wilder currently on fucking YouTube. One, because I work at night and I usually have to work Saturdays, so I don't get to watch these shits live. So I'm not gonna fucking be a herb, pay fucking 75 dents or $100 for a fight, and then watch that shit in the morning. That shit just, cause I'll fall asleep. I'll fall asleep as I'm watching it. And then on top of that too, watching fights like in the day it's kind of gay. In the daytime, you know, I don't even like watching sports in the daytime besides baseball. I don't like watching like recording a game and then watching it like that. That's whack to me too. Like but what's even whacker to me is paying for some shit like that and then watching it in the daytime. But when Deontay Wilder fights, I've made a commitment that I'm either gonna pay somebody to work for me or I'm gonna outright call off and order the fight. With this fight, even though I'm not happy about it, I am gonna order it. Like if when Deontay Wilder and Luis Ortiz fight, and to be totally candid, like if Brazil Wilder was a pay-per-view fight, I put it out in the past that I wasn't gonna order that fight, you know, because I thought it was whack, but it's free. It's now free, so that's a moot point. But do I think Anthony Joshua versus Luis Ortiz would have been a better fight than Deontay Wilder, Luis Ortiz rematch? Fuck yeah. I'm not even gonna front one bit. I 100% I wanted to see Luis Ortiz versus Anthony Joshua more so than like fucking the Wilder Luis Ortiz rematch. But it is what it is, man. Like I hate these like games of fucking boxing's depressing. Like I mean, and boxing's also depressing too because it's not like, I mean, boxing and baseball are my favorite sports. But like now I'm in the midst of a baseball season. Like, you know, the Mets are playing. Go Mets. Fuck the Yankees. So it, like, you know, when there's no other sports out there, like I watch all the other sports too, but it's not like with that as much fervor as I watch the boxing or the Mets. But when all these, you know, like whack fights are happening and you get like these diva attitudes like from boxers, and it's more so like with Anthony Joshua, with you come down, love, with Anthony Joshua, with all the fucking welterweights, like it gives me a reason like as to, you know, where I could tune out boxing, and like, you know, there's not a happy time as far as this fight being made, or, you know, whether the camp that I'm aligned with comes up, you know, via negotiation. Like, you know, that's like more like, you know, these wars of attrition, like, you know, which there's no pride in winning in this fashion, I guess. With that, I'm out. Like fucking, I'm about to leave. Thanks for watching me, like as always, and make sure you subscribe to Michael Jackson Boxing Talk and more, and try to check us out in the early evenings. I'm usually on there when he goes live. Yesterday I wasn't. I was too tired. Make sure you subscribe to Lowe's Dawkins the P, to King Louie, Tone Bangers, Colossal Sports TV, the Cali Enigma, as I indicated earlier, and all the other fine LDVC content that you can find online. If you don't subscribe, at least like our content or give us those views. Like, I mean, this is you're seeing the killing of the old media happening before your eyes, like within a matter of less than a decade. So I mean, like, you know, get on the train while you can. Thanks for joining me again. As always, I'm your file player. Peace.